can't start on time for the life of us.
Well, yeah, no, we can't. But
Um,
what's up, everybody? Why didn't I get a notification? Usually I get a notification. Oh, there it is. There's a notification. Welcome to the Barcast. We are live again for the Barcast Happy Hour because we're still in our houses. The Rona
not for
has
long. Not
the.
for long.
I know. I can't wait. I can't wait to finally get back out there, and I think it's going to be just an amazing opportunity to talk about brand new content because it's all going to be revolved around how we can rebuild from all of this stuff, and I think it'll be interesting to get the perspective of other restaurant and bar owners, especially when I was talking to Chef Al. I had no idea how bad it was for the restaurants for the delivery apps and stuff like that. So it'll be awesome. I can't wait to get back out, man. But for the time being, you're stuck with us on Zoom. so
Some of us are a little bit more pleasing on the eyes than others.
um, but having said that, welcome to the Barcast. My name is Brad. This is Kristian. And basically, what this channel is about is just the entrepreneurial journey and just through our eyes and through the eyes of others, and kind of giving you a glimpse of what it's really like. It's not always about making all the money and riding around in Lamborghinis. There's some real work that goes behind it. And so we wanted to give a fresh new perspective on what it means to run a business and own a business. So today's topic is going to be about building your own brand, and we're going to talk about me and Kristian and how we've been building our brand digitally on YouTube. Things have been going really, really well on YouTube for me, but it's also exposed a lot that I feel as if is worth talking about. And so that's basically what we're going to be chatting about today. What's up, man?
I'm good, thanks for asking.
By the way, Chuck Belden is in the house. He said he is all about the Lambo. I cannot blame you there.
What's up, Chuck? I appreciate the support.
Listen, man, he's tuned in. Is this 2 weeks in a row for Chuck? I think it is.
I think he watched it afterwards, but I hope he tells us he actually mentioned that the sound was whack. So hopefully he gives us a thumbs up that I sound good. If not, Chuck, let me know.
If you don't love it, you can shove it.
If you don't love it, shove it. Yeah, so I'm excited. We're learning a lot. I mean,
yeah,
it's been you signed up for this video creators YouTube course.
Another one. I've signed up for a lot of them, but yeah, this is another one.
And is that what is it's video creators, right?
Video creators from Tim Schmoyer. Yeah, he's really good. Really good advice. Really good insight. Just all around good guy too.
Yeah, and if so, I'll set it up a little bit. So, you have a decently sized YouTube channel. You're currently at 17,500.
Yeah.
But last year you'd kind of plateaued. So you'd seen some success, plateaued, and then the past 2 or 3 months you've started to really pick up, and it started to hit hard. And with that said, you're just trying to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
Build the momentum, make it better, tighten the screws a little bit. So one of the things we did was you bought this course, and you've taken courses in the past, but you mentioned Tim Smoyer. So we decided that we're going to take it together.
Yeah.
And so we're working on your YouTube channel together. So far, it's been great. What do you think your biggest takeaways were in general?
Well, I would say I'm about halfway through so far, and just through the first half, I would say that there's just been a lot that I've actually neglected on my channel for quite some time. And we talked about this off air, but even when it comes to my just the banner on my channel and just building brand awareness, like it forced me to ask some questions about what happens when somebody visits my channel for the first time. And I think before I was like, oh well, I'm a small channel, nobody cares. Like if I get a couple people here and there, it's not like it's whatever. Like, but instead of paying attention to the details, like the about page on YouTube, and realizing that when people search me, the about page is what shows up under search. So it's really important to what at least the first three lines say, and then it gets people to dive in more. And then also organizing my channel with playlists that make sense and having a trailer that when people see it for the first time makes them want to know more about me and really get to know me as a person on a deeper relationship level, because that's really what it comes down to, is just building a relationship with your viewers on YouTube. And that's the only way, and we talk about it all the time, competing on relationships, and that's what YouTube is really all about. And it doesn't matter what your content's on, somebody's connected with you and wants to connect with you for some reason, and you need to be able to provide them with value to keep them watching. So it's been
Yeah,
pretty
for
awesome.
sure. And we looked at I mean, we changed, we updated the about page today.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting to think of like, to really just try to hone in on specifically what is important.
Yeah.
And I think this is common for most people, whether it's your website, whether it's the bio on your Instagram page or your about page on your YouTube channel, just honing it in and scaling it down as much as possible is going to be is important. And one of the examples I'll give is, like I mentioned to you, you had links to We Trade HQ, the homepage, your Twitter, you had your Instagram, and then what was the fourth thing you had?
I don't know. I don't remember.
It was, I think there was four things that you had, but we scaled it back to two, because when I looked at the Instagram, you were you hadn't posted in Facebook group. You had a Facebook.
Oh yeah,
group.
Facebook. Yeah.
And so the Facebook group was actually We Trade HQs. The homepage was like, okay, yes, you were the CEO of We Trade HQ, but really the channel is about you. And if they're clicking on something, they're going to see you. So we scrapped that. Instagram, I think you use it a little bit more for like observing, but your last post was like a month ago.
Yeah.
But Twitter, you have 4 times the amount of followers and you're engaged. You just posted something a few hours ago. So my point was like, let's lean into Twitter and send people to what's actively engaged. And let's, instead of sending them to the homepage of We Trade HQ, let's send them to your mentorship. And so that was it was a simple thing, but I think it sort of removed the resistance from somebody who's a subscriber ending up getting to you and having access to you.
Yeah. 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 And it really just like cleaning it all up, and like I said, it goes back to just kind of feeling like it was neglected. And now it's almost kind of like a, oh shit moment where people are really starting to come in. And so then it's like, and what I was saying at the beginning, you feel like you're exposed. And I felt like I was exposed where, like, when there's more eyeballs on something, it could mean that, people see more imperfections. And so when they start to see, maybe something's out of date or something doesn't make sense, or, it's not clear on what your message is, then, you start to lose a little bit of credibility. And so now I'm like, oh, I probably should pay a little bit more attention to this now. And so it was definitely I think it was like perfect timing when, things seem like they're going good. I very well could have just been like, you know what, I'm just going to keep riding this wave and keep tossing out videos and people are just going to show up and it'll be fine. But I think it was, a really good moment in time for me to just reevaluate and be like, you know what else do I need to do to take this to the next level and really blow it out of the park? Because, the next step for me is like, I'm not even looking at 50K subs. I want to get to that 100K mark, and really kind of be an authority in the space that is, our little niche as far as the stock market's concerned.
Yeah, you're definitely on your way. And what I also want to point out, which was interesting, like we had been working in your channel and it looked good. Like there was nothing that stood out. But then as we actually dig through this, case in point, like behind you is your Own the Chaos banner.
Yeah.
That's actually the banner. Move your mic down a little bit. So that's the banner that's on your YouTube channel. And it says, Own the Chaos. Below it says B Smith OTC Trading, which is OTC penny stocks. And you actually shifted away from that last year.
Yeah.
And so, something little like that they point out where it's like, is your banner selling you?
Right.
And is it selling what you're doing? Because they talk about the scroll test. If you scroll through, can they know what you're doing right away? And I love your name. Your name's great, but you have to explain it. So we had to consider that. So like your banner, your trailer, your about page, your playlist, your categories, all those we have to revamp. You had a full channel, you had it fully functioning, but like as we go through this iteration, there's so much we can do, and we literally have to overhaul the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's crazy to think overhauling the whole thing because you immediately think starting over, but really it's just um, taking the foundation and building upon that. I think that the foundation is really good. You know, it's a house with good bones,
Yeah.
and now it's just updating everything and making sure that it all makes sense. And so, I'm actually really looking forward to it because and even as we start to get into like the actual video content, because right now we're just talking about the page itself when people visit it, but really getting into when it comes down to building thumbnails and titles, and which I know a lot about, and tags and descriptions and SEO and all that stuff, and I think that's what's gotten me to this point. But I think to be able to increase that even more, it's like we got to pay attention to the storefront, in a sense, and then what's going to get people to click on my videos even faster, and what's going to have people wanting that can't wait till they get till I put out my next video and that sort of thing. So I'm really pumped for that.
Yeah, it's interesting because you have to think of all these type of customers or viewers where it's like you have the people who are seeing you for the first time. So like they they have general interest and they go to your channel. So what does that experience look like? You have the people who are subscribers who want a certain type of content, but who know you and like to cater to them. You have your members now, like now that they have the memberships, you have levels of memberships.
Yep.
Um, and it's like, it can be so daunting. And where do you even begin and how you consider it from the eyes through their lens?
Yeah, and I
Because
mean it's um how do I put this? It's one of these things where you think that you're prepared for when you achieve critical mass, or when you hit critical mass. Because I mean, right now I'm averaging about 100 to 150 subscribers a day, which is mind blowing compared to what I was just six
yeah,
months ago. But you think that you're prepared for that kind of you know um, growth, and then you're like, oh, I don't even know how I would have prepared for that until it actually happened. But you think that you're prepared enough, and then you know kind of shit hits the fan, and then you're like, oh shit, I guess I gotta move this around or move that around, or like I said, it just kind of exposes you to a couple of things. And I'm actually curious if you think that there's a better way to prepare for that, or if it's just you don't know what you don't know. Like, what's your opinion on that?
prepare for what? I'm sorry.
Like,
You said.
just when as far as like cleaning up the storefront, like that could have been done months ago, but
Mhm.
I didn't bother with it because it was like, well, it wasn't really high on the priority list because I thought that I was prepared and everything else. I was so focused on getting the content out and making sure that that was up to par
Yeah.
that I wasn't even focused on like what's going to get people there in the first place.
Yeah, so I think that's a good question, and for anybody thinking about this applies to anything in business, but I think thinking
Yeah.
about YouTube, especially people considering getting into YouTube, this is a good point. So naturally, just going through the reps, you're going to get better. I
Right.
mean, how much have you gotten better since you've started till now,
Yeah, it's
right?
a lot. Yeah.
And that's just happened naturally. Being on screen, your thumbnails are better, all that stuff is organically kind of changed. Um, but when you think about business, it's that old adage like work on your business, not in your business. And it's one of the fatal mistakes that business owners make, which is they get caught up working in their business that they forget to work on their business.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that you could ever do it too soon or too late. It's that you always have to do it. And this is coming from the guy that struggles to do it with my own company. But with YouTube, first thing is I don't know the answers to YouTube. Nobody does. But like when you hear a lot of creators talking and when you hear a lot of people that actually have experience with YouTube on the back end, what they say is like, you always got to be active. Like you always got to try to get better. And I use this example for Instagram a lot. Instagram launches new features, and everybody's Instagram has a story that pops up and it says the new features. Everybody's is the exact same. It's the first one. And my point to my clients is, why would they spend all that time promoting it, pushing it, creating it if they didn't want you to use it? And if you were them, wouldn't you reward people for using it? So like Instagram Live, people hate using. But to me, if you pay attention to Instagram, think about the last time they updated anything with a post. I can't remember the last time. They're constantly adding to video, to IGTV. And I think those are the biggest opportunities for people if they can overcome their fears, do more lives, because you benefit from Instagram, I think, rewarding you for that.
Right.
And you're the first, when you're live, you're the first thing that shows up on people's stories. And also, if you do lives with other people, you can leverage their community.
Right.
Just the same as like YouTube. So like you can leverage their community, and IGTV, again, leverage IGTV. There's a reason why Instagram is pushing video content, live content. And if you transition that to YouTube, live content, like people want live broadcasts, they want interaction, engagement, and just pay attention with the new features. So I think you will get rewarded if you continue to try to better yourself and do it on a schedule. Like 30 minutes, like I was going to tell you, every day we should do something small to move your business forward.
Yeah.
And the YouTube channel, right?
Right.
Like, so small. We updated your about page.
Yeah.
If you can move your business forward a little bit, spend 20 to 30 minutes. If you do that every day, the power of the compounding incremental growth is going to be incredible. And so, long-winded answer to your question is you should never stop doing it. It's really hard. It's the first thing to go, but you should continue and build in time to improve continuously.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And I think there's definitely truth to that, but I think I also feel as if I could have done a little bit better. You know, when I realized that I needed to pivot away from just over-the-counter penny stocks and realizing that it was almost too niche, that I should have started to think about, you know, if I was going to give a facelift to my content, I should have been giving a facelift to the rest of the channel, because YouTube in and of itself is my business. You know, that's my business. We Trade HQ is also my business. But I wasn't really giving my business enough love as far on the YouTube side. And so we're finally starting, or at least I did, started to come to a little bit of an epiphany as far as that's concerned. And I'm like really pumped for some of the ideas that we've been sharing back and forth, especially when it comes to like Stock Watch Sunday. I mean, to your point, going live on YouTube, I think there's definitely a balance of putting out like recorded content versus live streaming. And I think the fact that people just look forward to, I mean, I get comments all the time now, be like, you know, I can't wait to see you for Sunday, because people are basically dying. I don't want to say it, I don't want to like blow myself up, but they're dying to like interact with me on a personal level when it comes to live streaming, because I get to talk to them, I get to engage with them. And so I think making them wait a little bit kind of builds that anticipation a little bit, instead of just like going live every single day.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And it's almost become this event.
Yeah.
So that piece of content for you is the content that's like, I would call it like the anchor content.
Yeah.
Your videos feed towards Stock Watch Sunday. And we haven't talked about this, but it's one thing I wanted to mention to you. So we're filtering everything to Stock Watch Sunday. And I think people who are building their channel, and I actually think I saw Chuck come up on my feed, that Chuck has had a content that he put out today. So I want to know if he's actually building a YouTube channel, or maybe he has one, I didn't realize it. But like, as you're building it, consistency has been really helpful for you.
Yep.
And then having that anchor content that people can go back to. But I agree, it's like, we know we're going to see him then, but it's not too much, it's not overload, and you give people access, and that's what people want. And I hope even as you grow, you continue to do that, even though it's going to be more challenging.
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to set you apart with your competition.
Yeah. And I think the not just that, but I think also the kind of like unique things that I bring. You know, with this this roadcaster has changed my YouTube life a little bit, but you know, just being able to have people call in and just making it as interactive as possible is definitely part of just building that relationship. And I'm like really pumped for Stockwatch Sunday and the things that we have in store for that. And I think I always envision like Stockwatch Sunday could eventually be like this, just nationally known thing, you know, where people just are absolutely looking forward to just showing up to Stockwatch Sunday, and maybe
Yeah,
that's all they show up for, and they don't even care what happens the rest of the week. But like if they can show up for that and just hang out, that's my favorite time of the week. Um, but
bro, it's true, and I want. I think that people are eager. Like people don't want to be passive anymore.
yeah,
Like think about there's this thing called in New York. They have this this show called it's not Never Eat Alone. What is the show called? Oh shoot, I can't believe I forgot the name of it. But anyway, it's an interactive Shakespeare show. It'll come to me in a second. I think it's the McKinley Hotel is what it's called, but it's this warehouse. Used to be a hotel, and it's like an abandoned building, and they redid it. And what they turned it into was like an immersive theater experience. So it's Shakespeare, and you walk in, you have to wear a mask, and they go in groups. So like if you go with somebody, they split you up. So you're by yourself, but like with other people that you don't know, and then you're wearing a mask and you're walking through this building, and each floor has a bunch of rooms, and they're sets. They're all themed out differently,
yeah,
and all of a sudden the actors will be running through or walking through or be in a room, and um and you're in the scene where they may pull you into a closet and speak lines to you, shut the lights off, they'll disappear. And
that's
um,
awesome.
what you do is you walk through and you either stay in a scene and actors will come and go, or you follow the actor around and he goes to different scenes. And it's crazy because you see people chasing, like there's actors that they're like this close to the actor, like because they'll just run away and they got to stay close to him, and there'll be 25 people chasing them. It's one of the craziest experiences you'll ever see.
Mm,
um and it was one of the coolest things, but my point is like you're 6 inches away from the actor. People don't no longer want to sit there and just consume. They
yeah,
want to be a part of it.
right.
They want to be an active participant. And I think that's what lives do. Like, and that's what you do really well with Stockwatch Sunday. People call in, people ask you questions. Even your live mentorship during the day does the same thing.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, and I think that Stockwatch Sunday is just a glimpse of what goes on every day in our private group, but um, yeah, I don't know. Things just feel different. They feel good about the direction that they're going, and I'm ready. It's like one of those things where it's a hurry up and wait, but I know I got to put the work in, the extra work in to just kind of like keep stepping up my game. And what I've realized is that um, I've really just become passionate about YouTube. You know, we always talk about being passionate about business, and that's always been one of my main passions. But and business and YouTube still is an extension of that. But I think that being able to mesh, uh, you know, stock trading and YouTube, it's just it's been a really good marriage for me. And I don't know, YouTube has just been something that I've just been so consumed with that now I'm all about it, you know. And I think at least I would hope that it kind of shows through the content that I provide that I really am just enjoying what it is that I'm doing, and it seems as if people have been really receptive to that. I think that's
Yeah.
just another key part of that whole brand building side of it. Just
Yeah. And speaking of like growing channels, like, do you think that if you had to start from scratch, like a whole new channel, and let's say it had nothing to do with stock trading,
yeah,
you had to start a whole new channel, do you feel confident that you could start over and grow a channel?
yep, 100%.
What do you think what do you think the keys are for you to start a channel?
Well, the keys are, and it's as crazy as this sounds. Before you get first of all, you got to know how to take good pictures and create creative titles and get those creative juices flowing. And that's kind of like the key part of it, getting people to actually click on your content. And as crazy as or as shallow as that might sound, you have to really think about that. But it really comes down to just whatever you're going to be putting out on a consistent basis, it has to be something that you absolutely love. Otherwise, you're going to hate it and you're going to resent it. And some people would argue that, well, what if it is something that I absolutely love and then I end up resenting it because then it becomes work?
Yeah.
If it becomes work and then you resent it because of that, then you weren't really passionate about it in the first place.
Mhm.
And that's just the way that I view it. Uh, and and I think it evolves. I mean, to an extent, I was not having fun putting content out that people weren't viewing, but I was still having fun with the process of putting content out, if that makes sense. Like, I was bummed out because people weren't viewing my content, but it wasn't because I wasn't passionate about what I was doing. And I think there's a difference. Like, if you're not passionate about what you're doing, then that's going to show, and people aren't going to receive that very well. Like, they
I
can see right
worry.
through that.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely comes off. And I think, again, just putting out more and more content, you're going to get better. Just obviously on all aspects. You're going to get better doing thumbnails. You're going to get better potentially editing. You're going to get better speaking on camera, all that stuff. Again, like we talk about in business, like people just wait too long, like go through it, in
Yep.
my opinion, right? Like go through it, try to get a little bit better. Cause you've talked about some of your worst content, some of your worst stuff is your best performing stuff. As far as like from a production standpoint,
Yeah.
some of your worst content crushes it.
Still just gets consistent views. I got videos that I put out a year and a half ago that still get my very first video that I put out on actual content, still gets consistent views, like probably 50 views a day. It gets.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's wild. And it's like one of the shittiest videos I've ever done in my entire life. I'm sitting on my couch. I got like a terrible web camera, and I'm just like, oh yeah, hey guys, what's going on? Not really being very engaging at all, but and just kind
Here's,
of just
here's what
chilling
I
on the
worry
couch.
about for you, and I think it's important for anybody growing their channel. Is like I do sometimes worry that you focus a little too much on the metrics
Mm-hmm.
from a
Oh yeah.
micro perspective,
Oh yeah.
like from video to video, rather than creating a process, going back and evaluating, right? It's that like culture, right? Like the metric culture. Like, put out content you want to put out, like you said, you're passionate about, and like try new things and not beat yourself up if one video doesn't work from the next. And also don't put too much weight either way, because there are a lot of factors. Something might be trending that YouTube pushes up. You might have done it at a time that people are more active. We don't know what's going to happen once quarantine lets out,
Right.
and how that's going to affect your video and watches. So I do worry sometimes that there's a little bit too much micro and less macro from like video to video. It's like that didn't do well, so we're scrapping.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's probably my biggest flaw, is just getting consumed by the analytics and looking at them probably, admittedly, probably at least 100 times a day. I'm looking through.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not, I would like to downplay this, but it's pretty bad. If I'm really honest with myself about how much I look at them, um, because I'm always like, oh, is this going to do well or is that not going to do well? And I do beat myself up about that. Like you know, um, I don't know why I get so consumed by it, but I think I'm just so worried about failing on one thing that, like, I don't know, it does bother me a lot. So it's tough. It's a tough thing to get over.
Yeah. And I hope you can get over that, because my hunch is that that growth you want, that huge growth, comes with taking chances,
Yeah.
and comes from, whether you look at it from 30 days or 90 days and just trying your best. Cause I know it's easier said than done, but like trying your best to be like, okay, I'm going to move forward with this. I feel good about this plan. I'm going to continue to go. And then I'll look back after 30 days, right? Like YouTube, like 28 days is common metric. Like 28 days, I'm going to go back and then I'm going to evaluate it and look at it from a scientific perspective, devoid of emotion, and that's really important.
Yeah.
So, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see more chances, and it's working. And like to me, it's, are you making each month? Is it getting better? And that's all that matters.
Right. Right.
What are you drinking, by the way?
Oh, that's a good question. I am drinking. This is another local brew. I'm just going to keep supporting the local businesses, small businesses here. This is Flying Dog. It's called Bloodline. If you can see that.
Okay.
And it's good stuff. It's another IPA, but it's got like a orangey kind of flavor to it. But it's really good. It's in Frederick, Maryland. They're a really awesome company. They got really good beers. And
I feel like they get lost in the Maryland beer scene. Like they're underrated.
yeah, they really are. And I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because they have a brewery in New York too. But I mean, they started in Maryland, so. But yeah, they're in Frederick. And I think there's probably there's so many other smaller. You got what is it? Union Brewery and all that. Those are probably a little more well known in Maryland. But yeah, I love Flying Dog. They're good stuff. I was thinking about some Raging Bitch, but I was thinking about the Blood Orange. I like I like the Blood Orange.
I actually did bring a beverage.
Oh,
blueberry acai. Kristian left it here.
I was gonna say, did you steal that from your woman friend?
I don't have a fancy name like you have. So I say her real name.
Sue's phone.
But yeah, I've made an exception. Blueberry acai. And for people that don't know how to pronounce acai, it drives me crazy. That's good though, man. It's exciting. And I think that, dude, just learning about YouTube from you and your success in it, it's such an incredible platform. It is so, yeah. I would argue it's the most underrated platform when you think about like digital social platforms.
And it's funny that you say that because it's the second largest search engine in the world.
Yeah.
And you think that because they're so big, people are just like, oh, whatever, it's YouTube. But I think there's almost like a rediscovery in a sense, because you have a lot of these other social media platforms, but what can still propel you to financial freedom, to getting your message out there, to be able to change lives? It's still YouTube. And I think for the foreseeable future, it's going to be YouTube. Yeah. And, that's why, I mean, advertisers, and this is a crazy shift that we've seen because of the Rona. Advertisers have yanked a lot of their budgets for television, and they're dumping it all into digital ads, such as YouTube. I've actually seen my CPM. It actually took a hit when the Rona came through, and really, when companies really started to pull back their advertising spending.
Yeah.
And my CPM came down. So I was down to like $16, $17 per 1,000 views. And now it's finally gone back up to 21.
What's CPM?
So it's cost per mile. So it's basically how much revenue I bring in per 1,000 views. So,
and the value changes depending on the topic.
It changes depending on the topic. So, like if you're talking about some cute cat video or having something that's really highly entertaining, but really doesn't provide any kind of like tangible value, it usually ends up paying less per 1,000. So channels can get maybe $2 per 1,000. That's what their CPM is. Whereas like educational channels, finance, that sort of thing, they pay a lot more because the advertisers are paying will pay a lot more for that kind of content, that has a little bit more meaning to it, that provides a lot more value to it, that sort of thing. So yeah, I get about 20 right now. I'm up to about 21. So that tells me that advertisers did pull back some of their ad spend, but now are going all in. And so I think that even from like an investment standpoint, and this is going to be a topic for me, maybe even tomorrow, I thought about doing this, is that, and that's why you're seeing Facebook go off too, in the stock market. But, I think that this is going to be the next era of, advertising. There's no more Madison Avenue anymore, really, right? Where all the radio stations and TV stations were making all their money from ads, and I think all that's just going to the wayside, and it's all being dumped into the digital space. And it was before, right? But I think this has just accelerated that even more so because of the situation that we're in, and people are at home watching YouTube and Netflix and whatever else, and they're on Facebook, and and they're hanging out on Google because they're at home. And so I think that that's just going to be the next leg of this. And honestly, Facebook just came out this afternoon, and it's crazy that I actually had Wednesday's video talking about this, but Facebook is probably going to be leaving Silicon Valley, and a lot of these other tech companies are going to be leaving Silicon Valley because they're realizing that they can still manage people and be just as efficient at what it is that they do remotely. And so if that happens, that means that there's still going to be more people being at home, and the demand is going to be even higher for that digital ad spending, because if more people are spending time at home or working remotely, that means they're going to be on their electronic devices way more, even after people are allowed to go back out and work more outside of their home, because I think there's going to be a much larger percentage of people that will be not going back to their brick and mortar place of business. And it's kind of crazy to think about that it took them this long to figure this out, that as much as they spend on taxes and leasing in Silicon Valley, that they're finally having this epiphany that they've been forced into. But it's a really interesting topic. I've just kind of been like diving down a rabbit hole over the last 48 hours in, but I was like, man, this is crazy that they're like, Silicon Valley is not even going to be a thing anymore.
That is crazy. And the domino effect that happens from this, from COVID, like, is going to be really interesting to see how everything else plays out. But
real estate's going to like get thrown for a loop, man. Like the REIT stuff, like, real estate investment trusts and stuff, because that's where a lot of their money comes from, just leasing.
yeah,
If companies aren't leasing anymore because they're realizing they can still manage people remotely just as effectively, then why would I need to spend all this money on a big ass building? Because it's a huge expense for a lot of companies.
yeah. And this shift is great too. Like, just the ability for you to be able to create your own brand. And it's funny how shifts happen and you don't even pay attention. Like, it's more normal. Remember, like, when cut the cord was kind of a big deal? It's more normal for people to not have cable than to have cable.
Yeah.
And we've transitioned in a way where people like you're becoming your own brand, and you're like, you said Stockwatch Sunday could be things with like millions of viewers. Like, that's where everything's going. Yeah. Where it's no longer gonna, like, the trust is gone, I think, with the big companies. And so now they're trusting people. Yep. And influencers. And I think we're only scratching the surface on it. So the more people, if you're thinking about jumping in to create your own brand online, digital presence, do it. I think that you don't, definitely give me your thoughts. I don't think you should worry about what it is. Like, you should consider it, but if you have a good idea, go with it, move with it, and then shift. But we're still early on in this thing. And at the very least, you'll have something you can look back on that will be kind of nostalgic. But if it does hit, like,
yeah,
who knows? Like, I don't know when you started what your goals were, but like, or if you ever thought you would be here, but like, people just need to get that brand out there, because there's so many people in the digital space that, like, there is people who are interested in what you have to say as a person.
Yeah. I mean, it really just comes down to push and record. It doesn't matter if you have a fancy camera, if you got your cell phone, like whatever, just push the record button. Because once you do that, and the reason I say it's because it doesn't matter if you're on YouTube or whatever platform you're on. And we've been talking about TikTok, with Freddie last week, and just getting him on there, pushing record. It just immediately you start to gain that muscle memory of just engaging with people on camera. And then at that point, once you start to learn how to really do that and do that well, you can turn that into whatever you want. And that's the crazy and really incredible part of about like the time that we live in. It's kind of funny because people talk about oh, I would love to live in this decade or that decade is a simpler time, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, now's the a damn good time to be alive. You know, I mean, just back, 30, 40 years ago, you couldn't just pick up and start a business as easy as you can now. It's never been a better time to be an entrepreneur, period, ever.
Yeah, that's a great point. I also want to make a general point that we've never talked about, which is I've noticed also that you've stopped comparing yourself as much to others and like comparing your success to others and more comparing yourself to your previous self and your previous content and
Yeah.
just trying to get better. Because a year ago, a lot of our conversations, it was more about like, why am I not doing what this person is doing, or how can I like? And I think that's also important as people start out. I started creating content on YouTube, and I only have like 4 videos up. But rather than me try to compare myself to you, who has years in it, just comparing myself to 4 videos ago.
Right.
And I think that's not to get caught up in trying to look at somebody who's put in a ton of time, like, and to try to compare, or even somebody who's put in the same time, like compare yourself and try to get to them, like just worrying about getting better from content piece to content piece.
Yep. Yep. And the best part is that you got somebody you can lean on that has gone through a bunch of stuff and made a lot of mistakes and everything else. But I'm excited for you too. And we've talked about where you could take your channel too. Right now you're just talking about your journey as a day trader, but it can really turn into whatever you want. And the nice part about not having any subscribers is that you're free to just turn it into whatever, and you can shift and pivot, on a dime. Whereas mine would like if I wanted to pivot, it would have to be a slow process to basically start over again. Whereas you're kind of at a really good spot, at just starting out because you really have the ability to just turn it into whatever you want right now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be enjoyable. But with that said, I think that's really good stuff. It's gonna be awesome to see you move forward, and as we grow, your channel, Own the Chaos, it's just gonna be cool to sharpen it up, and I hope this motivates some people to just, if they haven't jumped in, to jump into the content, and if they have, just continue to get the reps in throughout the process.
Yep, couldn't agree more.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers to that. um, so moving forward, what do we have? What do our viewers have to look forward to in the future, in the next few weeks?
Okay, so speaking candidly, I told you this. I want to get back to. I don't mind having guests. I mean, there's some guests I'm considering. Shalane Ginger's out in Washington State. She's really good on time blocking and scheduling and efficiencies, which I'm down with that. But I also selfishly have been wanting to talk about our journey and really getting back to us talking about the struggles, the ups, the downs that we're going through, and I want to go through that as well, because I feel like our whole mission was to show people, to peel the curtain back on entrepreneurship and to let them know that they're not alone through these things, and I've yearned to just get things off my chest and to talk about the things I'm going through.
Yeah. I mean, I'm totally down for that, and hopefully here within the next month or so, it'll be in person, and it won't be on Zoom anymore. That's the hope, anyway.
Yeah, we can get down to Raleigh. We can knock out our seasons, our cities.
Yep.
Yeah, so appreciate the 5 of y'all that are on right now.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's been a little bit different than what we've been doing, before all this happened, folks, but we do appreciate you. Hopefully one day you'll look back and be like, yeah, I watched them when they were sitting in their offices during the coronavirus.
We'll never forget we're going to have 4,000 people watching live, and we're going to be like, no, we remember the 4.
Yep.
You fools came late to the game.
That's right. Absolutely. I always remember the very, handful of people that have been with me since day one too. So the diehards they'll always hang around. So appreciate you guys. And that's going to do it for us. We'll see you next week, Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And as always, if you don't drink Jack,
You're an ass.
you're an ass. Thanks, guys, for tuning in.